Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. And this is an interesting piece of news that actually I think gives me a decent amount of hope for 2024. When otherwise I kind of just feel like, oh, when's the news actually going to hit? Are we actually going to get anything about Avatar Studios this year? And this piece of news, even though when you break it down, it's a very small mention, but it is a positive thing to hear after not a lot kind of super amazing happening recently. So Nick Alive have this story. I have the source that they got their kind of quote from as well, and we'll get into that. But their headline is, Paramount to, quote, set the stage for Avatar The Last Airbender comeback later this year. So that seems pretty straightforward. They just go over the basic stuff if you are not familiar with it, which is that Avatar is scheduled to come back, movies and more from Avatar Studios. Of course, we're getting the adult gang movie that's up first, October 10th, 2025. That's all just the stuff that we already know. But then we get this. So speaking to Toy World magazine, Jamie Drew, Executive Vice President, Consumer Products and Experiences. So note the title there, Consumer Product and Experiences. So that's basically like merch, effectively, and probably a little bit more than that. So that's the avenue we're talking about here. At Paramount, revealed that Paramount will be, quote, setting the stage for the long-awaited reinvention of the iconic franchise later this year. No specifics. It seems like promotions for the movies are set to start this year. That is speculation on their part, based on like the quote in the article. It's probably somewhat reasonable because, as we'll get to when we get the exact quote, what does setting the stage mean when you're talking about like merchandise, and especially if the thing's meant to be basically later half of 2025? What are we talking about this year for it? So They do specify, though, just in general, I suppose, Avatar The Last Airbender, so it doesn't necessarily for sure mean only upcoming movie stuff. So that's the important thing to realize here is like Avatar as this kind of franchise that has multiple eras. Like you can do Avatar merch, you can do Korra merch, that sort of stuff. So if you click on this link, you go to the website for this magazine. And I guess because it is just sort of an industry thing, you do get the full magazine. It's just up here. This is not like any sort of weird thing where it's not meant to be here. The whole thing is just presented for you to look through. Now, to save you a lot of time, you can just search. And all I did was search Avatar. I searched Korra as well. Nothing came up for Korra. And the only Avatar Last Airbender reference of Avatar is in the interview here. So as you can see here, they do have a, let me zoom out a bit. There's like a 2-page spread interview here with, as they kind of note there, we have Jamie Drew, Consumer Products and Experiences, Paramount Global, the Executive Vice President. Now, Avatar is only mentioned in this little paragraph here. Otherwise, it is just a bit of an insight into, I suppose, how they view their merchandising, I suppose, for stuff. To go through it actually a little bit, just because it's worth kind of noting the idea of, you know, they want to kick off 2024 with strong momentum. They had movies, of course, for Paw Patrol and TMNT, and they say it drove huge statements at retail. Massive partnerships. TMNT once again became the #1 action figure in the US and UK for August, and other stuff is also doing well also. But they do highlight Paw Patrol and TMNT as kids franchises, and even the website kind of notes that the company's rich portfolio of kids and family properties. So that being a massive selling point, a massive thing that Paramount has, is they have some great, you know, kids, younger franchises. So obviously the idea is that they have two things that are working really well for them, and now they're hoping going forward for two new properties basically to do really well for them, which is what they talk about here. Looking to the year ahead, what do you expect to be standout moments for Paramount? It's going to be an exciting year for products and experiences. We're doubling down on our biggest franchises, so Paw Patrol and TMNT, which they explained are their biggest because they did the best last year, and they're going to set the stage for two long-awaited reinventions: the cult classic Avatar The Last Airbender and the most beloved preschool heroine of all time, Dora the Explorer. Now that is the only mention. There's no further mention of Avatar, except I think in a pretty confident position of they very much are kind of viewing Avatar as being a kind of secondary, or they have two things along the same lines. TMNT, Avatar are going to appeal to kind of, I suppose, similar audiences, where they have Paw Patrol Dora for the younger, and they have Avatar and TMNT for the older kind of audiences. And they're confident from a consumer products and experiences perspective that all four of these are going to do very well for them. So they of course have SpongeBob, and they talk about that as well. So that highlights just there's like 5 kids properties, and they have others that are really strong for Paramount. Now, obviously, what does this mean? Because it does say that if you take it in the way that Nick Alive took it, and that is 2024, we are setting the stage for reinventions, Dora and Avatar. What does that mean? Because when you talk about it in terms of how is basically the question, the year ahead, what's going to be exciting? And they're like, okay, we're going to do more with the things we already are doing at the moment, but setting the stage, that makes it seem like publicly something related to Avatar is actually going to come out. Now, what does that mean when it comes to what we're talking about here? Now, again, we're talking about Toy World magazine. We're talking about merchandise here. What does this mean? Does it mean merchandise related to the movie? Probably. That you have to assume that is in development, that they will have a certain amount of merch related to that also. But are we finally going to get a proper Avatar toy line where it feels like there is just a lot of confidence behind it? You can actually go out to just like your average toy store and see Avatar stuff on the shelves. The problem with a lot of Avatar merch so far is that it has kind of been in the little bit of the niche kind of thing of like, they don't exactly sell it over here. You're probably going to have to go order it online, or maybe it's stocked in this more specialty store, but never quite the full mainline toy line. They did that really, really early on, but it was almost too early for ATLA back in like 2005. And they didn't really have anything for when it actually got popular. Korra, they just never attempted to have a toy line. And the merch that came out was just odd. And we had an amazing 2021 for Avatar merch, but the last 2 years you would say it's really slowed to a crawl. Like, Loyal Subjects don't seem to be doing Avatar anymore. McFarlane don't seem to be doing Avatar anymore. So what's happening here? If they do more Avatar toys, I think along the TMNT lines of things, we're probably expecting this to be an action figure line. But from who? That's the kind of real question here. Let me actually just quickly look up who is currently making the TMNT toys, because maybe that's something that might be worth considering. Okay, so just looking it up, here you can see Playmates is the manufacturer of the TMNT toy line. You can see they have Nickelodeon there, and obviously these, like they say in the article, obviously sold quite well. And I think that's kind of what we're, in a way, looking for, probably with Avatar, is just one of the bigger manufacturers maybe to grab the line, and because it would have the full backing of Paramount in connection with other stuff, that would be a nice way to do it. It'll be interesting just to see what way exactly it's going to work, because, like, are they just going to go with, like, okay, it's the ATLA characters but older? Are they going to resist the opportunity to put out on all toy shelves, like Book One Ang, the younger versions of characters? And I don't think they will. I think they're going to utilize that, and so that's probably what we're maybe talking about here, is that they're probably going to present some sort of a Avatar Legends maybe style toy line, so that can be where you get the movie toys, but it also, for now, in terms of stuff coming out recently, can be finally Avatar gets like a proper, kind of toy line. That'd be my maybe speculation about this, to explain why they can like announce it here, because I don't think they typically do it where, like, I can't remember this at all, but like that they would announce maybe a year before you see the toys on the shelves what the toys are. So I'm assuming they have to have some stuff for later this year. And like I talked about in my 2024 preview video, as well as the 2023 review video, merch wasn't great. We know very little about merch. And most that we do know is stuff that was meant to be out last year. So the path is kind of clear a little bit here. So it will be interesting to see what exactly goes on here. So I know this probably is, maybe when you see the first headline, it's like, oh, what's this going to be? But then you see the reality of it, you might think, oh, that's not really much. But this is actually a big positive. Because this is sort of the guarantee of, at least from the merchandising department, we're going to see something big-ish for Avatar. And that's going to give a lot of confidence, because if they're talking about that stuff, then it's realistically only a matter of time. Because like, I'm assuming when they properly announce this, if they're talking about it being like reinventions of Avatar, there has to be some new stuff there. And if they're going to have any sort of visuals related to this, it's either going to be the kind of disappointing thing of there is new stuff coming, but here's a toy line based on the original, or they're going to have to visually showcase some stuff, at which point probably the expectation would be that the movie has already done like a bare minimum of merchandise, bare minimum of like news updates in terms of like, what is the title of the movie, an official image out there that you can actually talk about, and that sort of thing. So I view this as being like, this is a hopeful piece of news, even though it maybe doesn't come across that as being as big as it actually is. This is a confidence booster, just in terms of everything, like that Paramount is behind Avatar. They're backing basically all these projects that we roughly kind of know are in the works, but now also they seem like they're committing to a big Avatar merchandise push. That's fantastic to coincide with it. They're finally going to treat the franchise right, because success on the toy shelves always helps a franchise. That's the big thing here. So that's going to be interesting to look out for, because it's confident for the overall process, but then also I like Avatar merch, so it's a double bonus here for me. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this news. What do you think they mean by setting the stage in 2024 when the stuff is actually like October 2025? What are your thoughts? What merch, what consumer products do you think we're going to get potentially, or learn about this year? But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.